So I'm Kino Evolve. I'm a poet. I am a teaching artist. I teach my art through literacy development. I've been teaching in public schools for around 4 years now. I teach spoken word poetry through hip hop, through engaging with youth and reading and text that is predominantly people of color. So that's what I do. When I first heard about the panel topic, I thought about the language, and I think that's because I think about language a lot, and I think that at the core, as far as legally, it's not really so much about sagging, right? It's about making second-class citizens of people of color, predominantly youth, and then that's what is within the code of the legal language of laws, which has been going on in this country for years and years and years.
Yeah, my name is Malik Cisse. I'm currently a sophomore in Augsburg. I'm majoring in education, going for a license in theater arts, performance, and design. I guess my take on sagging. I didn't really sag when I was younger, but I did, experiment a little bit. But honestly, most of the reasons why a lot of kids at my school sagged was because, it gave them the opportunity to express themselves and, show their own forms of it, the way they want to dress, how they want to school.
Is outrageous because I was just looking up and seeing what's going on across the country, and we have city council members saying they're tired of people, wearing pants, and they're putting them in a category, basically saying like they're criminals because you're sagging your pants. So also the majority of people who do sag their pants are black people. So also look at it as like a racial profile, as well. And they're giving people fines of $500, up to 6 months in jail in Florida. Pretty much in Louisiana, called Louisiana's Terrebonne Parish, passed an ordinance this week and voted pretty much 8-1 as far as hitting fines of $50. I just think it's pretty much like just racial profiling in a way. And because we live in a type of world where, it's really not about black or white because we have like civil rights, it's like they're undercoverly just, racially profiled.
And you are?
Oh, my name is, by the way, my name is Jonathan Michael Harris. I'm originally part of Joseph Terrence Franklin Committee.
My name is Antonio Tinsley from St. Paul, and I'm in the community a lot with the kids. And basically they stereotype it because we sag our pants and it went from one thing to another. People make it these days a good thing, but some people make it a bad thing because kids walk around with them below their waist. But when you have old people walking around with it, people just laugh. Say, look, they got their pants down, but when kids do it, it's a bad thing. But at the end of the day, some kids take it out. They take it too far by wearing their pants too low, drawers showing, and then they have holes in the drawers. But at the end of the day, it's a reason in a way that you do things these days for you not to be stereotyped like that. If you're gonna sag your pants, sag them to the point where you have your shirt long enough where they can't see your drawers and stuff, where you do have a belt on. So at least when they do approach you with it, you can come back and say, well, I'm not like that guy. I'm doing me, And these days, The police just need a reason to mess with kids these days because they don't have nothing to do with their time but sit around. So when I see kids out here sagging, I think it's a bad thing and I think it's a good thing because we took something bad and made something good out of it in the hip hop culture.
So my name is Reyes Romero. Thank you for having me on this panel. I am a social work major junior at Augsburg College. I'm also a core member with Twin Cities Save the Kids and the president of Save the Kids at Augsburg. And I did at one time in my life used to sag my pants, yes. I started breakdancing when I was about 7 years old. I started DJing when I was 14. So I grew up with the culture of hip hop and it kind of shaped me to who I am today. I think this is a relevant issue to be talking about in light of recent years and recent laws that are being introduced into the Senate, introduced into the House, that are being set up to criminalize our young black and brown men simply for a fashion trend or the way they want to wear their pants or the way they want to express themselves. I sagged because I just thought it was cool. I mean, it was just a way for me to fit in, you know, and to, like, you could catch me at Freedman's. I had every pair of Dickies that were every color, you know, that's what I did. And it wasn't like I was making a conscious decision. I was just like, hey, you know, that cat, because you usually look up to older folks, older kids that are doing stuff. Younger kids look up to older kids. And a lot of my friends were older, so they would sag, but I didn't really think consciously about why is this gonna become a national issue within this country, you know what I mean? And I did it because I just thought it was the trend and it was cool. And this is back in 1990, you know, 89 and 88, where a lot of different trends in hip hop started to change. So you had the gangster type look with the NWAs, and then you had the De La Souls and Tribe Called Quest looks, like, you know, with the African medallions and, you know, taking that Africanism back into hip hop. And then this is kind of before bling started being a thing, you know what I mean? Because it was about donkey ropes, it was about gold chains, it was about, you know, Adidas with no laces, and that was the era that that's how I fell in love with the culture. And sagging kind of came after that, because if you notice that the people was wearing tight shit, you know what I'm saying? We was wearing tight Levi's and, you know, and sagging wasn't really, which has come around now again. I mean, the tight jeans has, and everything recycles. So I sagged because, I mean, even when Colors came out, the movie Colors, that had a big influence on people. And you know, it wasn't not all about Vice Lords and Gangster Disciples and Latin Kings no more. It was like, oh, there's these guys called Crips and Bloods, and now everyone wanted, you know, try and see what they're all about. And that kind of put influence on sagging too. But that's when I first kind of started doing it. But then I got older, and I don't know, somehow my pants just came up.
Like, I'm a student at hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And in every culture, if you know, adapt the music, you also adapt the fashion, and you know, being around hip hop, my friends, you know, my neighborhood, just being soaked in the music of hip hop culture, you know, and doing just, I don't know, I think that it was just being appreciative and being influenced by something that embraced what I look like, what my friends look like, and didn't shame us, but told us to, like, you know, describe how you feel and write it down. So just being influenced by hip hop, I would say.
And to this day, it's not a good thing, because I have kids and they see it, but they don't sag their clothes. It's the way you sag them. Back then, I didn't wear belts, so it naturally sagged. But as time went by, yeah, eventually, I started wearing clothes that fit, but then I found myself pulling my pants down still. But at the end of the day, I have got grown, and how I feel about it is, it's not a good thing, because I sit there and see people with their pants down. It's just, like, how can I compare with them? They making it look bad for a person like me, and people who do sag their pants and get stereotyped. But now that I'm older, my wife, she tells me all the time, pull your pants up. And I still find myself pulling my pants down. It's not naturally because I wear clothes that fit. Like now, they fit, but my belt is not tight enough to hold them just while I need them.
It's uncomfortable when you like that, man.
Right.
It's too tight.
And then, you know, once you eat, you get a blow. You find yourself because it's right there on your stomach. You're like, man. So it's naturally, you know, it's not a, like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's good, you know. We're not trying to make nobody feel uncomfortable about what they see, and you know, some people do make people feel uncomfortable, because I feel uncomfortable when I see it. But will I stop? Eventually, especially when my kids get to doing it, and then I get mad. But at this point, why do I still do it? I guess it's part of life, you know. It's hard to, it's a habit when you constantly pulling your pants up.
Looking at the language of the law, if I know that the agenda isn't to make youth of color pull up their pants with this law, it is to incriminate young people of color, then, you know, then it changes the discourse. I think that the conversation shouldn't be, or the question, the focus lens on the problem shouldn't be why do young men sag their pants or whatever, but why, if we want to change that, I don't think it is by making a law to illegalize it, but by having discourse and conversation with young men, not even about their pants, but about like literature that is empowering and strengthening and enlightens the mind of youth of color by bringing in literature by youth of color, and eventually the pants will go up on their own.
Well, just to answer what I kind of like said earlier, I just think it is being criminalized because, like I was reading something, it was like standing compliance. You know, they pretty much want to control. It's all you know, laws just pretty much to control people, and not only that, to pretty much just like racial profiling in essence. Like I remember when you can go into a club and wear t-shirts, you know, white tees. Then it got to a point, or with a hat on. Now you can't go into the club with a white tee at all. You know, it's like, you know, they make you dress a certain way. So it's pretty much, you know, just pretty much them want to just be controlling and saying, hey, this is how you have to dress. You know, and then just pretty much just focus on one group of people.
Like you're not classy if you have a t-shirt on or something.
Right. You know, you looking down on somebody. Just, you know, you sagging pants. You know, that person more likely to rob you or, you know, steal your car. That's basically what they're saying. You know, you dress like this with a suit on. I mean, like no one sags, you know, with a dress suit on. You know what I mean? With dress pants on. So you're not sagging. You're pretty much sagging when you're wearing, you know, jeans. You know, and that just like your style, like you were saying, just what someone feels like they just want to wear, how to represent themselves. You know, no one is harping on ways certain people have, you know, just say loose through their ears, or just say, for example, gothic. If you say, hey, I don't like anyone because they're gothic, you know, well then they can start banning people from wearing all black. You know, it's gonna start at one point and we're allowed to go on, and it escalates to something else. You know, if we don't do something.
And I think because it's profitable. I think that prisons are a business. I think that if you can get a demographic of people to create labor for privatized companies, as far as like oppression is concerned, that's intelligent. So I think a huge reason is because it's profitable. It's profitable, and it's something that is easily digestible. Kids should sag their pants. Let's make it illegal. For people who can't put context and connections into the language of like those laws. So I think ultimately it comes down to dollars and to create products that will pamper the capitalism.
Everything's about money.
Yeah.
In the 1940s, Mexican Americans in LA County were called zoot suiters, and zoot suiters was illegal to wear a zoot suit. So this is not the first time that a style of dress has been targeted by the pigs. So you have to look at in back, and you fast forward that like zoot suiters had to get their stuff like tailor made, and the chains that they wore was real looked down by their, and that was illegal.
That was in the 40s, wasn't it?
That was in the 40s, yeah. So you fast forward to the 60s, if you had an afro, that was viewed as a threat by the police because you were supposedly, they're part of the Black Panthers, or they're actually conscious of their surroundings and police states. So I mean, it's not just pants, it's your whole demeanor. And I wanted to say that no matter how infused hip hop is into pop culture, how infused it is into mainstream culture, it's always going to remain as a threat, because you have cultural appropriation, especially an example is from country artists that use hip hop mannerisms in their videos and in their lyrics. I've seen it. I mean, you can look at videos and they're using stuff that hip hop has created in their own form of music, but they're not looked on as a threat. You know what I mean? So hip hop started with nothing and became this worldwide phenomenon, but it's still looked at as that this is dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, if you go on Nicollet Mall, if you have a guy playing the flute or the trumpet, that's safe, right? You can't go out there with some turntables and start going off. The police are gonna be out there. You know what I mean? So, even though this is so infused, I mean, it's so infused. There's white kids that sag their pants all over the freaking world, right? But they're white. They're not targeted. So it's just the pants, but it's the color that's being targeted. So you have black and brown that are being targeted because, just like I said, it's just another way to lock kids of color up, get them prepped for prison. They're building more and more prisons. They need more and more crop for those prisons. And the language that most of these laws are surfacing is called indecency. That's what it's, or public health risk. Because when people are saying, the long-term effects of walking like a penguin, you're gonna have hip and joint problems. You know how you walk certain, because you're not. So they're saying, this is a health.
When we think about why hip hop is a threat, or why the Afro is a threat. I was watching an interview on Huey Newton the other night, and he said, and then the host, it was like on Martin Luther King's birthday, and the host was like, but you scared us, Huey. The Black Panthers scared us. And he said that whenever a black man claims his own in America or in a room or in his community, and says, this is mine, it's scary. Of course it's scary. If you like, you know, beat someone up, you know, for like a very long time and they decide they like want something, you know, or deserve something in a room, you know, yeah, you know, so I think that hip hop speaks to the distribution of wealth, health, and education and pinpoints the gaps in that and demands certain things from those gaps. And I think that media and like, you know, a lot of media and laws and legislation targets something that speaks out against that.
If you also think about it, is whenever that something hits the mainstream world, then it becomes a problem. For example, they dropped off drugs in the community. You know, it ain't really become a problem till it got outside of the, you know, the urban community. As far as for sagging pants, like we said, like you said, with white kids all across the country. So you can be in a rich neighborhood, you can find, you know, urban language being spoken. And if also the just say rich people or congressmen, if their children, you know, emulating, you know, rap music, saying the N-word, things like that, they're seeing it inside their home. So that's going to also be a problem. Not just the money they can profit of it, but they also another way of keeping black people down. You know, as I look at it. So you got, it's pretty much it's entering their lives too. So then they have to stop because they can't control. You know, if you tell your kid to stop, then they want to do something. You know, they want to go against what you're saying.
Knowing your rights in your local community, knowing how to talk to police, knowing how to communicate with help that's not the police, you know, and knowing to like whenever you encounter the law, to like record or document everything. And if that's not the case, like write down exactly what happened in your own language before someone else does.
I would say pretty much get in contact with, you know, gathering up, getting people to sign the community sign, maybe petition or whatnot against it to, I mean, just the fact that we have representatives. So nothing's going to happen unless you deal with the people that's creating the laws. You know, because otherwise you just be going around just pretty much talking out. So it's pretty much you have to come together with the community, get the community on your side, and just pretty much, you know, not just speak out against it, but, you know, show up at, you know, at the office door, you know, just pretty much just going to, you know, the people up top. Representative legislators.
That's a good point. And to bounce off that, so that the lady in Florida, who's a council member who, you know, wanted to combat sagging, she's African American. And the lawyer or the guy in New Jersey who's putting up all the billboards, he's African American too. So it's like there has to be more community forums and communication on, even though there's the older generation against younger generation, and there's that whole gap, and you know, my grandma don't want me to sag, so, and just to defend our youth, that I know a lot of youth that don't sag and don't have the desire to sag, and it's way, and they're still targeted though, you know what I mean? So the sagging thing is just a loophole for the cops to get them. And it's just getting so ridiculous with the fines and the prison time, because they're looking at this, once we got our hooks in them, then the wounds are gonna stay, right? And then we can get them for something else, and then we get them for something else, and then it's a third and fourth offense, and now it becomes a cycle. So it's just like the stop and frisk thing. This happens all the time with the ID issue and the voting a couple years ago. That was another thing to profile, to get a demographic of people so they can't vote. So it's all connected. It's all connected to white supremacy. And that's what we have to combat, is the bigger picture. I mean, forget sagging. I mean, that's just like a small piece of the pie. So, but we have to, as leaders and as youth workers, people that work with youth, have to defend who we work with. You know what I mean? There's no bad kids. They just made some bad choices, but there's no bad kids, and that's a principle of Save the Kids, is that we make that clear distinction between the two, and it has to do with just because a kid sags, it doesn't mean he doesn't have dignity or integrity.
I think it's a both and situation. I think it's hip hop's responsibility. I think it's the community's responsibility, and to inform youth that it is not about sagging. They don't care, honestly. You live in a white supremacist society that benefits off of your failure. And they will think of laws like having an afro in a middle school and for you to do some labor in a cell on a factory line. That's it, you know. And I think that informing that knowledge and to youth of color is something, and bringing hip hop into classrooms and putting it into like context and connections of the country.
I think so. To create our own party, that's definitely possible. I think if that's what you're talking about, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Republicans, and just form our own party like the Independents have, or Green Party. That's exactly that. Hip hop does have the power to do that and the numbers to do that. But then they're still part of that system that oppresses us.
Yeah,
so that's the other question. Like, I mean, brother, like Keith Ellison, yeah, he's our brother, but he's still part of the system, and in that identifies with the oppressor. Right. So the oppressed can never expect help from the oppressor or expect that they're gonna give them what they need.
Right.
So,
and also answering the question too is just getting the community, more involved. Whether it's doing more events like this, whether it's having pamphlets, or now speaking in the community. So you got to educate the community and get them on your side.